Okay, sorry about the audio lag. That was pretty much all the way through the last video. I'm trying to see if I can somewhat fix that. Hopefully I can, and if not, I'm sorry about that. So I changed a bit of stuff to see if it would make the audio lag any less worse, because at the end of the last video it was like 5 seconds behind or something. But I'm just going to add a couple more things in and then add in a key listener, and then I think I'll be done for today. So the new key listener is going to be this class itself. But before I do that, another method that we added before is public void init. And even though we're not creating all our JFrame stuff in here, and I'll tell you why we're not doing this in here. We're not doing this in our init method anymore, because when it was in there, it's called whenever we call this main class, or as before it was display. But we don't want that to happen, because if we ever want to put it on a website as an application, which I probably will be showing you how to do later once we actually get something working and something playable, then it wouldn't work like that. So it's better to just do it in the main method. And now in our init, the only thing that we really have to put in here right now is request focus. And then this is how I'm going to add a key listener. So you can implement more than one thing. And I don't know if I've covered this before. If not, it's pretty simple. Just put a comma and then type the next thing. So we're going to implement key listener. And of course we got to import that. Control-Shift-O does pretty well. And then the errors are for what we're missing. And I don't like this because it adds a whole bunch of extra stuff which I don't like erasing. So I'm just going to type them out. Public void key pressed. And you've seen these all before. And of course we have to import key event, Control-Shift-O once again. Public void key released, key event E, and public void key typed, key event E. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to print out the character of the key whenever you type a key. So to do that we're going to do e.getKeyChar. Pretty simple. And now the only thing that we have to do is we're going to do, before we start MC, we're going to do MC.addKeyListener this. Oh. There. Actually, no, that should be in the init method. Sorry. So actually, instead of that, we're still going to put this in the init method. We're going to just do add key listener this. Okay. Now, if we run this, then even though nothing's going to show up here, whenever we press a key, it should be printing it out, which it's not. So that means, oh, I never called init. That explains a lot. So right here, before we set, or right after we set running to true, we're going to call init. There we go. And now, yes, it is printing out every key that I press, which I just pressed out QWERTY. That's a space. That is enter. And then there's one thing that I wanted to see about this. If we can still do e.getKeyCode even from key typed. And of course, okay, so I was looking into the before when it wasn't reading enters and backspaces and we were trying to recognize them with their key codes, and that doesn't work because of this. Because all the key codes for when key typed is called are represented as zeros. So all we can do is e.getKeyChar, and I'll set up a method later for accepting enters and backspaces. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new class and call it user input. And I just think about this now. Actually, we don't really need this class. No, we don't need this class. Never mind. Instead, all we gotta do is, as before, we can create an array list of characters that the user enters. So, public array list character user input. And we have to import array list. And then down here I'm going to actually do this in the constructor, public main class user input equals new array list character. And then all I'm going to do right now is I'm going to be drawing user input on the screen. So we're going to set the font, g.setFont, new font, and I like Arial. Then the size of the font, I think. Oh well, we'll see. Actually no, font.plain, let's just keep it plain, and then I'll do like 20. And then g.setColor, color.white, and then for character C user, nah, that's not gonna work. Int I equals 0, while I is less than user input dot length, no, that's size, sorry, we'll add one I, and then character C equals user input dot get I, and then that's a good idea. We're going to have a separate class for handling text to be drawn on the screen. So, new class, text draw handler, and then it's going to have a private int x, private int y, and the x is going to be going across the screen and y is going to be going down the screen. And then public void draw text graphics G, or graphics 2D G, character C, or draw character actually. And then what we can do is we can do public void draw, and then import graphics, public void draw string, and then the exact same thing, graphics 2DG. Instead of character, we can input a string. And then the cool thing about strings is you can get character arrays from them. So all we have to do is let me look through these to find it. What's this one do? Okay. So, to caraway, that's what I was looking for. So, char C equals s dot to caraway array, and then for character C1 C. Let me see if I can just change this to character. Nope, okay. So we're just gonna have to do it like that. And then what we can do is we can do draw character with these graphics and character of C1. And now, instead of this for loop, all we have to do is we're going to have a public text draw handler text draw, and then text draw equals a new text draw handler, and now we can call that. So the way you're going to call that is public void. I'm just thinking next line. And that's if we want to skip a line, we're just going to do y plus, and then public text draw handler. This is the constructor for it. We're just going to set x equals 0 and y equals 0. And then we're going to have to find out the size of the screen, but we're going to do that later to see if y is too far and if it needs to clear the screen or something. Okay. And then this draw character thing is going to... This is the only thing that I'm not really happy with about this current font system, but I don't want to make a custom font for it. So I think I'm just going to see how this ends up working. What we're going to do is we're going to add 20 to x each time. So int x position equals x times 20, because that's our font size. And then y position is going to be y times 25. I'm actually going to start off y at 1. And then if x position is greater than or equal to 600 minus, or 580 actually, we're going to do main class dot width minus 20, x position equals 0, and y position, or y plus plus, and then we're going to do redo y position, y times 25. This may not exactly work as I'm intending it to, but I'm hoping it will. We're going to add one more thing. Public void reset x and y. X equals 0, y equals 1. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do g dot draw string c x post and y post. And seeing as that won't work, all we have to do is add an empty string to the end of that, and now it works. And then at the end of this, we're going to add one x. So this may not exactly work as I'm intending it to, but let's see. So since we can't get this as a string, we still have to do the for loop. But right here, at the beginning of our render, we're going to do text draw dot reset x and y. And the reason for that is because otherwise it'd just be drawn further and further each time, because it never resets, even though we're trying to draw the exact same stuff as before. So now all we have to do is for character C user input text draw character GC. And now let's actually see if that worked. So now as soon as I type something, it should be drawn, which it isn't. So the next thing to do is, oh, I found the problem already. Okay, I'm not adding anything to user input, of course. User input dot add e dot get keychar. And that should solve that problem. So now, as you can see, the spacing is a bit too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this in debug mode and type a bunch of stuff and see if I can't make the spacing look a little bit nicer. And actually, let me see if my I did not want to do that. Close. Actually, let me see if my switching to a new line idea worked, which it did not seem to have done. Oh, actually it is working. Okay, so the problem that is I didn't reset X. Okay, and now you can see that my switching to a new line is working. But you can see that the spacing between them is still ridiculous. And that's also what a backspace looks like. We will be fixing that later, and enter currently is just a space. So I think instead of 20, let's try something like 15. That's a bit closer. Eyes are going to be a bit far apart just because that's how they are. It's kind of annoying, but still. Let's try going even down to 10. Hi. Oh, what's this? I'm not really sure why this is happening. Yeah, that's obviously too close. So the only other alternative would be to create a custom text file. So I think 15 is a pretty good close thing. Until you start typing in caps. No, even then it's pretty good. So yeah, I think I'm just going to leave that as 15. And as you can see, if I reach the end of the screen, it does indeed go on to the next line. Which means that this is working. So now we have a much better method for drawing text onto the screen than last time. And just to prove that this draw string method does indeed work, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do text draw string G And for the string, I'm going to say, yes, it works. And you can see it prints out, yes, it works, as it very well should be. So, thanks for watching. If you like this video, like it. If you want to see more, subscribe to my channel. And this is going to be all for today. But if you have ideas for what you want me to cover later, since I am getting back into this, or at least I think I am, because I have a bit more time now, and I've mostly created a better engine even so far. But, so yeah, just give me some encouragement, or if you have any ideas for what you want me to cover, leave that. And goodbye. After I press stop.